Well, in this video, I'm going to give you 5 things that I think we should be evaluating in our lawn care business on a consistent basis. But I would definitely say annually, maybe in the winter time if things are a little bit slower for your business, this will be a good time to evaluate these 5 things. And the reason I say this is because so many lawn care people I see seemingly get burned out, and I think they get burned out because ultimately their business just sort of plateaus, and as they get older it becomes less enjoyable, or they just get frustrated with how things are going. So let's evaluate and see if we can keep improving how we're running the business. And I think by doing that, it'll bring a little bit of life to the business as well. So let's get started with the 5 things. The first one I think we should be evaluating at least annually is evaluate your pricing for your business. Now, there's a lot of different opinions on pricing out there. I talk to people sometimes and they want to have a low price, especially when they're starting out and they're trying to gain more business. And then others say, no, I'm going premium pricing because obviously that's what you need to do to be successful. I don't necessarily subscribe to either one of those, not that there couldn't be a place for that. I try to basically go with the market average price. And you say, well, Jason, does that just make you average at what you're doing? Well, in some ways, I think there's a lot more to what makes you a successful business and being profitable than just price. I one time did a video showing that, at least giving my opinion, that efficiency in lawn care was more important than pricing. What I mean by that is, if I go to a specific neighborhood and I've got premium pricing, okay, and I've got 7 yards in that neighborhood, then that's, not a bad thing. If I've got cheap pricing and I've got 30 yards in there, is that, necessarily not being profitable on those yards? But let's just say I've got a price kind of market price, or maybe slightly higher than market, and you've got 25 yards because of the other things about your business, but you end up building this route density which cuts greatly down on your overhead, and we could argue would make you more successful than the premium price person who was able to get less customers. Now, again, if you're able to get premium pricing and build a great efficient business, then that's obviously a great thing. But this is just sort of my opinion on it. I think we need to evaluate pricing because things change. I mean, just general inflation. Obviously, $1 is not worth today what it used to be worth, and that's nothing new. That's not an insult to the economy. It's just reality of things. So we got to evaluate and make sure that we're not working the same amount every year for slightly less money, where we're actually making less money each year than we did the year before. That would not be a good thing and could easily lead to somebody getting burned out on the lawn care business. Before I go on to number 2, I want to mention today's video is sponsored by Yardbook. I've been using Yardbook as the software to run my lawn care business since 2015. I personally love Yardbook because it's very user-friendly and it does everything that I need it to do. If you need a software for your lawn care business, go to yardbook.com and sign up for a free account. Second thing I think we should be evaluating is, and I hinted at in the first one, is evaluating your route. Now let me just share this in story form, I guess. And a couple of times in my business, as I began to grow, and this was sort of a personal decision I made for my business. Some people want to grow a big business. I'm currently working solo and plan to do that for a while. For me, after a while, it made sense to actually shrink down my route as I began to get more and more customers in the area that I live, and I had some other customers that were further out. Then I began to shrink down my business so that, again, I could be more efficient and have a tighter route. I'm not saying that you necessarily have to do that. That made sense for me because of the limited work capacity that I have just being a solo operator. If you're trying to grow a bigger business, then obviously it would make sense. You may have to go a little further with the idea that I'm growing, I'm expanding, I'm trying to get multiple trucks on the road one day, so I've got to grow. But I think one of the things you need to do is evaluate, and you may have just a handful of customers that absolutely make no sense for your business. And this goes back to evaluating pricing. If you're looking at your production, you say, okay, Monday is a great day. We're in this neighborhood. We got all these yards. They're priced right. Tuesday's a great day. Wednesday, I drive all the way across town. I got 2 yards. I think you have to look at it. Did it really make a lot of sense to go over there on Wednesday? Would you have actually been better off not servicing those anymore or going up on them? but sometimes it's just easier to say, hey, for 2 customers, it just doesn't make sense, and you find somebody who's servicing that area and you can let them take care of. So again, it's something that has to be evaluated. There's not a hard, fast rule on this, but as you look at your business, I think that's the hard part, is actually stopping and looking at the actual numbers and being realistic when you look at it. For me, doing weed control and fertilization, sometimes it's actually looking at the square footage of the properties, because a lot of times the pricing has a lot to do with the square footage. And if I look at the square footage and I see that one is just badly underpriced, and I thought, okay, well, that was the first year I got that customer and I hadn't went up on them like I should have. And you just have to make a somewhat of a business decision, or you have to decide, hey, I'm just going to keep doing that yard at an undervalued price, and that's okay too. But it's not necessarily great for your business to do that over and over and put strain on your business. So definitely want to evaluate your pricing, and number 2, evaluating your route to make sure that it's efficient, and even maybe a way that you can restructure your route to be more efficient. You know, it may be like, okay, well, if I move these Tuesday yards to Thursday, it might make me more efficient. I could rework some things, or depending on your equipment setup, I might could have one truck go over here with this equipment, and another truck go this way with this equipment. But it takes time to stop and think about those things. Third thing is evaluating your finances, and a lot of things come into play with this. For instance, if you had a really good year, you need to evaluate your finances and say, hey, am I going to be able to handle my tax burden next year because we had a really good year this year? Or if you know that you're going to be very slow in the wintertime, then you say, am I taking the money I'm making in the summer and making sure I'm setting enough aside to get me through the winter? Or if you're trying to keep on a 1 or 2 or how many ever employees through the winter time, am I make sure that I have enough money budgeted? But again, evaluating these things. Another thing that you could take a look at is your equipment situation as far as finances goes. And hey, is this mower or this piece of equipment that's got a couple thousand hours on it, is it going to last forever? Or should I be setting money aside incrementally to where I can go pick up that purchase when I need that new piece of equipment? So, and when it comes to finances, I think it's always worth mentioning too, are you planning for some sort of exit strategy, or is the idea that, hey, I'm just going to do lawn care until I die and that's my exit strategy? I don't think it's a great exit strategy. So if you're just making enough money to just get by on each year, then that's not a great strategy, because again, that might sound fine if you're 25 years old, but as you get a little bit older and it starts to wear on you, you think, okay, what am I doing to set aside? Is there an exit plan? If you're doing well in the lawn business, what are you using that money for to diversify yourself financially, so that everything's not wrapped up in the lawn business and you're beginning to maybe develop some passive income streams, which could be a good thing as well. The fourth thing I want to mention is evaluating your marketing plan. Are you getting new customers? I know a lot of people just say, it's word of mouth. That's all I need is word of mouth. Well, I think word of mouth's great. And of course, you want to do a great job so that you're being referred. But a couple of things that I do, and I've mentioned these over and over again. One is I try to build relationships with people who can send me customers. So the word of mouth, sure, you do that. But for me, doing weed control and fertilization, it was very important when I moved here to be able to build relationships with people that are mowing grass, because they're the ones getting asked, who do you recommend for weed control and fertilization? As I built those relationships, we've now developed a lot of good relationships, so where in turn is mutually beneficial. I can send them the mowing contracts, and they also send me the weed control and fertilization contracts. The other day, somebody was asking me about getting commercial contracts. I said, a lot of commercial contracts I get, I don't really get them. The mowing company gets them. I have a relationship with the mowing company. They sub out the spraying to me, and now I've got a commercial property that I'm taking care of. So very beneficial with that. And that doesn't really cost any money, just getting to know the people that can refer you business. But the other thing, and this has been the best thing for me personally, is just getting leads through my website. I use a company called Footbridge Media, and if some of you heard of them, they work with service businesses, not just lawn care, but they do a lot of lawn care. It's not just somebody in their mom's basement or anything. They're a legit company out of Pensacola, Florida. I'll put a link in the description below. They do give me an affiliate link. The normal price for them to build your website and do the search engine optimization, which is the important part, because if you're not ranked high on the search engines, your website's not serving you a whole lot of purpose. So for me, I'm ranked very well. I actually saw a guy 2 days ago I'm friends with his brother-in-law. He comes, his brother-in-law said, hey, can he borrow your trailer? I said, sure, he can borrow a trailer for a day. He had to go pick something up. I said, yeah, that's no problem. He comes over and he says, hey, when I text you, I saw that I had already texted you earlier this year. He'd moved into town, and he's like, he moved into town and he said, I texted you about lawn care. I said, oh, okay, I didn't remember that. Well, how did he text me? He looks on search engine, my company pops up, he calls me, and it wasn't a good fit. His yard had all different kind of grasses, and I didn't want to deal with it, but it was, but that happens over and over and over again, year round, where people are contacting me because they simply Googled lawn care near me. My business showed up because I rank well on the search engine. So if I was gonna do one thing for marketing, if a business that was gonna pay money ahead of direct mail and other things, is I would have a website and SEO services, because those are the great leads that just come in without much effort at all. They just simply show up on my email, so-and-so needs a quote for lawn care, or they call me, I just moved in town, I Googled lawn care and your business popped up, you had great reviews. So anyway, Footbridge Media, you don't have to use them. They are great. A lot of times you pay, several $1,000s for a website, and then you got to do SEO. Theirs is just like a flat fee all the time. The regular price is $249 a month. With my link, it's $199 a month. And so the link's in the description for that. $199 a month. And of course, it's ongoing, but there's no upfront huge cost to get your website. And that is website and SEO. And they do other marketing things as well. And the last thing I would say, evaluate your process, how you go about things, including your equipment and things of that nature. Sometimes I feel like you get two extremes. You got some people out there that are just don't have the proper equipment, and it's really holding them back because they just don't want to spend any money. The other extreme is that you've seen them, the people that ride down the road and got two people in the truck and they've got enough equipment, looks like for 6 people. It's like, what in the world do you need all that equipment for? And I've shared this before, but I remember when I first started, I had a mulching mower, and I went and got a bagging mower because somebody wanted their yard bagged or something. Well, at the time, it really didn't make a lot of sense for me to have that bagging mower. I wasn't getting many customers off that at all. I don't know that I ever paid enough money for that mower. I mean, maybe I did. It was sort of served as my backup, and I was able to use it for some things. But by far, made way more money with that mulching mower. But there may be a time, and I was talking to somebody recently, they said, when it comes to your mower, by far the biggest factor in efficiency is the size of the mowing deck. So going from a 52-inch cut to a 60-inch cut makes a significant difference. Now, you want something versatile. You don't want a 60-inch if you're out mowing a bunch of garden homes, but if you can go from a 48 to a 52 and it still works for your properties, it does make you more efficient. So I would just ask you to evaluate, is there a piece of equipment you have that you know right now is not paying for itself, and you just need to move on. If that means you're going to lose 3 customers because you don't have that bagging mower, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Or is there a piece of equipment that if you got, it could set you apart and make you more efficient in what you're already doing, or maybe lead to a new opportunity? I talk about my Graham spray rig I got. That thing is paid for itself over and over and over and over and over and over again because of how much money I make off of it. I've got some other pieces of equipment that are great too. I don't use them quite as much, but I don't want just some expensive piece of equipment sitting over there that I might use a little bit, but it's going to take me 7 years to get an ROI on this piece of equipment. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. Most of this stuff is not rocket science, but I guess if anything, let this video be something to motivate you to some point during the off season. Sit down, think about your business. Why is my business doing great or not doing so great? And I just think it gets frustrating to watch other people be successful and just think, oh, I don't know what you attribute it to, but they're doing stuff that other companies are not doing. There's a reason somebody's successful. So what are they doing that you're not doing? Take a hard look at your business, or get someone else to look at it for you and make adjustments that you need. Don't just keep running it back the same year. And I say this as I'm going to give a one last baseball illustration. I like the Philadelphia Phillies. They just got beat in the playoffs and all that. And there's a lot of debate. They're the oldest team in the league. Are we going to just bring back the exact same players and try it one more year? Well, a lot of people say, no, don't do that. You're just 1 year older. Yeah, it didn't work this year. What makes you think it's going to work next year? Now, that, you know, there could be a debate on that. But point is, if your lawn business didn't work last year or the year before, and your equipment's a year older, you're a year older, and you're not going up on your prices, you're not doing anything different marketing, what makes you think anything's going to be different this next year? Hope this video motivates you. Thanks for watching. If you want to get a weed control and fertilization like me, there's a lot of resources over at lawncarelife.com, or even getting into mowing business. I've got a resource for that, mosquito business. I got a coaching program over there, mentoring program. There's a lot of stuff, lawncarelife.com, or you can hang around here and watch some more videos. We'll see you guys in the next one.